Hey guys, thanks for clicking on the video. My name is Rob with Outdoor Tactics, and this is the Rinehart 18:1 archery block target. This is actually the second model that I have owned after shooting for the first one, which took a very long time. We're going to go over some of its features, pros and cons, and tell you about why I plan to buy a third one if I ever do shoot through this one, which is it's going to take a while. So disclaimer before we get into the video, Rinehart does not know who I am. They don't know that I'm making this video. They didn't send me any targets. They didn't pay me to say good stuff about their products. I have owned a few of these already, bought with my own personal money, and I'm just bringing you a review based straight off of my experiences. So no bias here, no nothing like that. And now we can get into the video. So we're going to go over some pros and cons and get into the features of this now. If you are researching the Rinehart 18:1, you've probably already found it on a website somewhere talking about the features and the dimensions, but we'll just get into that really quickly so that you have it here as well. It is 15 inches tall, 15 inches wide, and 15 inches deep, and it weighs about 15 pounds. It comes printed with 18 separate target surfaces, hence the name 18:1, and it has a molded handle, which has so far been pretty much indestructible, aside from just going through and cutting it. It is embedded into the foam super deep. So that's gone absolutely nowhere on pretty much every model that I've seen. It's also built out of Rinehart's self-healing foam, which is just essentially a fancy term for a foam that closes back up after you shoot through it. But it does seem to be appropriately advertised. Shooting a field point into this essentially just causes the foam to close right back up after you pull the arrow, so that's great to see. So at that size and weight, this does make a very portable target. I'm able to just throw it into the bed of my truck or toss it out in the yard and shoot unknown distances, and that's been super convenient. They run about $160 MSRP. I have seen them as low as about $120 going for sale in stores, and I've seen them for about $80 to $100 used on places like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, whatever have you. So doing a little bit of deal shopping, you can definitely drop that price down, but I don't think $160 is an unfair price. Once we talk about the longevity and durability of this target, we'll talk about why. Alright, so getting into my personal experiences with it. I have fired field points, fixed broadheads, mechanical broadheads, everything into a Rinehart 18:1 at some point. I typically keep one target surface specified for fixed head broadhead shooting, just so that the target itself, like the entire body of the target, doesn't wear out faster. Because you will wear out this foam faster shooting fixed blade broadheads or mechanicals, simply because your cuts are going to eventually cut out like shapes like a cookie cutter inside of the foam, and then you'll be able to pull out like lengths of like foam about yay long, and you're just going to start coring out your target faster. So I will typically just select one target surface and hammer that with broadheads and avoid it in other times when I'm shooting field points. Part of the reason this target is so durable is the actual foam density, and a lot of people worry that if the foam is really dense, then pulling arrows out of it is going to be a problem. For me, it has not been a problem. I'm shooting 5mm arrows, so with them being thinner, they do immediately become easier to pull out of targets, which is a nice plus side of going with a little bit thinner diameter arrow. But even with 6.5mm arrows or standard diameter arrows, I haven't noticed it to be like a burden to pull arrows out of it. Especially as you start to break that target in, it's going to get softer and be easier to pull out. But from the factory, I haven't noticed them to be super stiff when pulling arrows out. So not a problem in my case. Your results may vary. I've definitely heard people say otherwise on various forums and stuff like that. So let's talk about the target surfaces a little bit. You can see there are pretty much two types of targets. You have the large circle targets and the small circle target. In the larger one, you have 5 individual aiming points, with the center one being slightly larger. And in the single target, obviously you have one aiming point with the chartreuse ring around it. I like this large surface right here for a lot of different reasons. One, it is roughly the size of a target, about the size of the palm of my hand, which is roughly the aiming point that I use on a white-tailed deer. Imagine putting this circle behind the shoulder of a whitetail or right on the shoulder of a whitetail. Typically about the size of my target is matching up with this. And then also, if I'm practicing with arrows at close range, I don't want to be smashing my nocks. It's not bragging, but just like as you bring into 20 yards, you are very likely to start hitting your arrow nocks. So being able to aim at dots in separate areas and shoot a 5-arrow group across multiple targets without having to hit your own arrows is really nice. When we step back into more moderate ranges, say that like 30, 40, 50, 60 area, I will start aiming at the smaller surface to get a little bit of a finer aiming point. And then as we move out to the 70 plus, 80 plus sort of area, I'll move right back to the larger target surface to make sure that my pins, pause for wind, that's mostly just so that my pin doesn't occlude my actual target. So that if I was shooting at, say, a smaller surface like so, that pin is going to be about the size of my fist out at longer range, and it's going to pretty much completely occlude what I'm aiming at, and that's sort of an issue for me. So I will switch to the larger target surface with more chartreuse and glowy bits, because my eyes are already okay at best as it is, so the color scheme on this helps me out a lot too. One thing of note about this target versus other ones on the market, this is not a replaceable core design, which I am personally fine with. I found that a lot of replaceable cores, whether they be in a 3D target or in another block target, they can be a bit more fragile than I want them to be. I can shoot through a core a lot faster than I can shoot through an actual solid target. And as far as durability goes, Rinehart essentially challenges you or has a warranty on their target, where if you can shoot out every target surface on this block within 1 year, and by shooting out they mean burying arrows to the fletching, they will just send you a new one. I wouldn't bet on myself to win that challenge. I don't think I could shoot enough arrows in practice sessions to actually shoot through the core of this on one target face very quickly, let alone all 18 target faces. So it's pretty cool that they do that. I know it's sort of a marketing idea to just like challenge people to shoot through your target to show that it's durable, but it's very legitimately difficult to shoot through one of these so far in my experiences. So you're getting a lot of arrows per dollar when you choose a target block like this. There are other blocks on the market that rival its durability, but typically not at this price point. Like I said, this is the second block that I've owned, so shooting out the first one took me years and it wasn't even fully shot out. Shooting at a normal pace, I would say you could get a few years out of one of these. Shooting at a slightly lower pace, you could get 4, 5, 6 years out of them, no problem. This one's only a year old, and I haven't been shooting it a ton. I've been shooting other targets a little bit as well. And the wear on it is very much surface level aside from the broadhead target, which, as I said earlier, takes on wear a bit faster than the rest. As far as storage conditions go, I pretty much just leave this in the garage. So it's just at ambient outdoor temperature, and I haven't noticed any degradation to the target based on weather or weathering outdoors like that. The paint hasn't worn, the target's not deforming, everything feels like it's still brand new. So it's good to see that I don't have to baby this piece of equipment either. And you can just leave it outside if you're not worried about it getting stolen. You don't have to keep any specific storage considerations in mind. One thing that's sort of a pro and con in this case is the shape, the size, and the weight. So with it being a small target like this with a really durable handle on the back, I can pretty much just pick it up and toss it out in the yard or toss it in the bed of my truck or whatever I have to do, move it between deer camp and home, whatever I need to move this around for. The issue is, and it's sort of it's not really a con, but it's just something I've noticed, is that if you're shooting at the front of the target here and you are striking your arrows here or here, the target can rotate a bit on you, and they'll shoot over here to rotate it back flat again. This is not so much of an issue depending on what surface you're on. If you're on like grass, it's a less of an issue than if you were on something like the slick surface on the bed of my truck, or mud or snow or whatever have you. So it's just something to keep into account, because instead of the contact patch on the ground being as big as this whole face, it's only as big as this square. Or if you were to set it up on one of these smaller targets, now your contact patch is only this big, and you're going to get more movement with the block. Stop. So you're going to get more movement with the block if you prop it up on one of these smaller surfaces, and it moves a bit more than it would if it was just a cube shape of comparable size. So overall, durability, check. Longevity, check. Portability, check. Good target surfaces, check. The only issue is that bit of rotation, and you could argue the price. I think that if you deal hunt a little bit, maybe just wait a little longer for sales to pop up, wait a little longer to save up money for it, the price is totally adequate. Yeah, I guess overall I don't have any complaints. The smaller targets are great for sighting in as well. That's something I forgot to mention earlier. When you aim at a really fine aiming point like this and your arrow's maybe an inch off to the left and you need to adjust that sight, it's easier to notice than if it was on this giant target face here and you're hitting an inch to the left, but you still look like you're in the center of the overall circle. So I like those for that as well. It's just a really well designed product. So if you are in the market for an archery target like this, I will leave product links down in the description. They're not affiliate links, they're not sponsors, they're nothing like that. It's just there for your resource. If you enjoyed the video, you got anything out of it, this channel seems valuable to you, subscriptions are free, it helps me out a lot, and I'd really appreciate it. Comment section down there is for you to discuss with me about experiences that you've had with this target or targets in a similar price bracket, pros and cons, what you've noticed, and what you did or did not like. And that's going to wrap up the video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.